we have girls and OnlyFans. Hoes are gonna keep it on the low. Hoes are gonna keep it on the low. Every now and then you think she's different, but then we Sarah stock on your ass. Every now and then you think she's special, but then she pulls up on your ass. It turns out she's trash. Hoes are gonna keep it on the low. Hoes are gonna keep it on the low. What up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pearl Daily. I cut my thumb in the stupidest way. I keep having to, it doesn't hurt, but it won't stop bleeding. I probably should get Band-Aids, but I don't have any, so paper towel will do. Do you know what I mean? You need Band-Aids so little that, like, for me, it's one of those things I don't have often because I don't really need it often. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. Yeah, don't use a Band-Aid. It's just, it doesn't hurt, but it just won't stop bleeding. It's the worst. It's the right thumb. Isn't that incredible? It's like my right thumb is going to be bleeding. Why? So I wanted to kind of do a show tonight stating the obvious, right? Sometimes, you know, I guess I make money. I get to talk for a living. Stating like obvious things, you know. And it's probably not fair. A lot of you make money doing hard labor. A lot of you guys, I know I got a lot of blue collar men in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a blue collar man. A lot of you might clean cars. You might fix toilets. You might do electrical, right? But, you know, there's a lot of, but for some reason, I get to make money stating what is obvious. And to me, it's extremely obvious what's going on in society. But sometimes, you know, it's like right in front of you, but you can't see it. And I see that with a lot of conservative men. Now, see this still, if I keep having to, now, let's talk about what happened in society. How do we get here? Now, my conservative counterparts like to say that feminism has destroyed women, that women used to be amazing and awesome and just super special and different, but then women just got brainwashed into being whores, right? Now we got at least 1 out of 10 women on OnlyFans under the age of 25. If we're being really honest, it's probably a little bit higher, right? It's probably a little bit higher. Like, can we just be real? But, you know, conservatively, 1 out of 10 women are on OnlyFans. And my conservative counterparts will say that traditionalism is coming back. If we all just fight really hard, we can save society, right? And they want you to volunteer to save society, right? They want all of you men in the chat to come forward and fight for their cause. But you have to think about it. You fighting for their cause benefits them because conservative commentators, they're the elites in society. They're the high status men. You are most likely low status men. I mean, and this isn't to pick on you or degrade you. Just most people aren't high status, right? Most people are normal, they're peasants, right? Very few people get to be the kings and the governors. You used to be the king of your own castle, but no more, right? So I am not low status. I'm below low status. Well, having money doesn't necessarily mean you're high stat. You could be high earning, right? And some of you, maybe you are high status. I don't know. But let's just say out of 10 of you, most of you probably aren't like super high. It's okay, right? My grandpa was a farmer. You know what I mean? My other grandpa was a fireman. Now you could say they're valuable to society, right? But they're lower status than the kings, the peasants, the governor. And let's not pretend like being a king really was the best life. Sometimes peasants live a better life than king. Didn't Caesar get like stabbed 20 times, by his counterparts? So what the conservative commentators want to do is they want low status men to fight for their cause, because the conservative commentators, they're like, they're making money off of talking for a living. They're not going to be the ones fighting these battles, putting their neck on the line. A lot of them can afford a divorce. You can't. So they want you to save society for their children, for their kids, right? And so the way they do that is they sell hope. And what they tell you is that conservative values are just coming back. The pendulum always swings. Now, you could argue the pendulum does swing, right? You could argue that. But let's say you were born in the 70s and no-fault divorce just legalized. What if they told you then that the pendulum was just going to swing back? You would live your whole life waiting for the pendulum to come. And the observations I have on society, what if you were in 1920 and you were there watching women get the right to vote? And they said, it's okay, the pendulum always swings back. But there's no indication, to me at least, that the trends are really going that way. There's no indication to me that traditionalism is coming back in any way. For traditionalism to come back, we'd have to bring back traditional incentives. And the pendulum is too far gone, and I'm going to tell you why. So in 1970, we kind of went from a cash economy into a credit card economy. And the way the banks did this is they realized, guys' pesky wives would come in with them to the bank. And they realized that if they give the wife the credit card, they could spend more of men's money than the men's, right? And remember, the government knows that by taking men's money from family court, divorce, they're not stupid. They know men are getting robbed of their children and their assets in family court and divorce. And you might ask, why doesn't the system change? Well, there's too many people benefiting off of the system, right? There's lawyers benefiting off of the system. And I'm going to give you an example because I like to use my real life and things that I see and trends that I see. I'm going to give you an example in a second. But I see no indication of the degeneracy and the trends going down. It seems like the age of first marriage and the age of first child gets older and older and older. It seems like the women get more and more naked. Wherever I go, I see more and more tits, more and more ass. And I just have to accept it. Right? It seems like every day I see more and more women in positions they don't deserve, right? I see more and more female billionaires from media. In my lifetime, call her daddy, Alex Cooper, has become a thing. Alex Cooper, I believe, is worth $1 billion. If she's not, Kim Kardashian is. Kim Kardashian and Alex Cooper might as well be sex workers. They teach women how to Gluck 9000, a very valuable skill. I'm not knocking them. But in no way does that indicate to me that traditionalism is coming back. Right. Now, what happened was, thank you for the $1 super chat. Women got the right to vote in 1920. That gave women the majority of the political power in this country. And when women got credit cards and the right to divorce, women got the majority of the buying power in this country, and also got the majority. They got 100% power of who was born. Now, a lot of people say the Jays did it. They had this diabolical plan to make women whores or whatever. But essentially, what happened is women have always been whores. Women have always gluck 9,000 and been these awful people. But men used to keep them in check and have the authority to keep them in check. They could not give women the credit cards, right? They could, the women didn't have the right to abortion. They didn't have all these rights. So now that women have all this power, we're just drunk on power. We now have the right to say anything on the internet, even if it's offensive towards the men that built the internet, right? So what happened is we get all this power and we completely destroy society. We don't want to have kids. We aborted an eighth of the world population. My grandma was one of my grandma was one of 10, or she had 10 kids, and she told me on her deathbed that her only regret, she had 9 kids, not 10, but her only regret was not having more. And I'm like, Grandma, how many kids did you want? She said 12. And when I asked my grandma, before she died, I asked her why do you think society went this way? You know what she told me? She said everyone divorced because of birth control. Isn't that incredible? This is my grandma. So conservatives want to sell you're going to get a 1950s wife. But remember, even the 1950s wife, the highest divorce rate ever was 1970 after it got divorced. And my grandma, when she died, she was separated from her husband. So there was a lot that were undocumented. My opinion, the Jays just saw a way to make money and have more control, or whoever it is, the powers that be, the credit card companies. So what happens is there's the people at the bottom, right? There's the peasants. And the peasants are, young men, people with no power, no say in society and the political impacts. And they want the system to change, and they, rightfully so. But the challenge is, as people move up through the system, they learn how to navigate the system. Men learn how to navigate a divorce. Men, a man might become a lawyer, and now they're making money off of divorce. So recently what can we expect, right? We can expect women to delay marriage even further, women to be more promiscuous, sex work to increase, AI relationships to increase, the birth rate to go to the freaking tank. Marriage is only for the upper class. It's going to be a luxury. I don't see any indication this is slowing down. None. Zero. None. Your wife is someone else's wife because somebody else banged her before you. Her soul belongs to someone else. It's not you. Sorry, fellas. You're not going to get a wife that sticks around. And if she does stick around, she's going to make your life miserable. That's the future. We're not getting husbands and wives. It's not happening. If you have one, it's for now. That's the future. Now, again, people are going to come back and say I'm a doomer. And I just say, well, I knew people that were happily married the first 10 years of marriage. I talk to 70-year-olds all the time. They don't know anybody from high school that's happily married. There's one or two, maybe, they all say. I think I'm one of the few commentators that say this. So I'm going to give you an example of something that happened to me today. Well, yes, 2 days ago. There's a petition on my Instagram story to save my gym. So I go to Lifetime. I'll just tell you the gym. I don't care anymore because I'm about to change gyms. And I love the basketball court there. I love it. I dream of that basketball court. I've spent in in Dallas. Now that I've moved, I probably spend every day or every other day there. I go to that gym and I love it because there's a little bit of a money barrier. So um, there's a little bit. They're not too open about the phones. I don't really want to be videoed and etc. Right? But I can play basketball and volleyball. It's competitive enough that I'm excited, but not too competitive that I don't like it when basketball's too good because I can't play, especially with guys. But there's like some slightly unathletic guys I can play with, and I love it. I go there every day. I either do my mobility stuff or I go on the treadmills and it's perfect. The whole reason I went to that gym was because of the basketball court. Now, the membership for that gym, I believe, is around $300 a month. Okay. And I know that's expensive for a gym. It's about $300 a month. It's a high-end gym. But remember, I told you guys about stretch sessions you can purchase there for an additional. And one of the guys that does it is $180 a session. So you get 1 hour, it's $180. And there's other things you can purchase at the gym, like Pilates and yoga. And I don't know because I don't do Pilates, but like let's say it's $100 an hour, you can get personal training. Now, the thing is, women like to do things in groups. We're too dumb to figure out stuff ourselves. We like a man's plan and we like to sign up for it. There's a Pilates, I don't know. There's a sauna there, whatever. And remember, a $180 stretch session, if you sell 2 of those, that's a man's membership. And mostly women are signing up for those, right? So the gym, I'm sure they did the numbers and they said, we don't really care what the men want because the basketball court, that's more for men. I see it all the time. It's mostly used by the guys. So now they're going to cater to women and they're blocking out half the locker room that's for men is getting taken out to make more room for more class space. And it's why I didn't go to Equinox. That's like the other high-end gym. I looked at that gym and I didn't like it because I just felt like it was too many classes. And I'll do a class now and then, but I like to just do my own lift. And I like to do the basketball court, right? I like that's what I like to do. And people are devastated about this. Okay. I'm sad because I've made a lot of friends there. It's been amazing, but I've only been there like 8 months. Okay. There's guys that have been going to this gym for 30 years and have made their entire social network around this gym. I play volleyball today with this older gentleman. He said he's had the same locker for 30 years. They're taking out his locker. And he's like devastated that that he's not going to get to play. Like this is the highlight of his day. And, I did a petition. You can sign it on Instagram. I'd love to get to 200 signatures for it. But the bottom line is women have the most buying power and what women says is going to go because any gym that doesn't sell to women is going to get outcompeted by gyms that do. I know this nice old man tries every day in volleyball. I've never seen him miss a session. And this is exactly what's going to keep happening. Now imagine if I got emotional and said, well, I kind of am. I'm sad, but anything that's made for men or that caters to men is going to be destroyed because it's going to be changed to cater for women. Now they're going to take out half of the men's locker room, even though the women have an all-out sauna in our locker room. That's not enough, I guess. And the men are going to lose. The men in Pearl are going to lose our basketball court. This happened to me in London too. I went to a bodybuilding gym, and at this bodybuilding gym, um, it used to be only for men. And when I went, they allowed women. And my trainer would tell me how it was so awesome when it was a men's only gym. And women came in, they started sexually accusing everyone of sexual assault. Everyone's afraid to, talk to women at the gym. They come in half naked. I've never seen more sex workers than I saw at that gym. And it gets destroyed. Same thing happened to a gym I loved going to. That first they took our free weights and our benches, then they took our chairs from our locker room so we could only change standing up. This is going to keep on happening. Your daughters are going to have more opportunity for sports than your sons. I do love this basketball court. Okay. I do love it. I really do. But think about it. I love it this much. That's how cool of a community we have. Like everyone, it's like drama free. Everyone has fun. It's just like a grand old time. And there's some men that have been going there for 30 years. There's like a whole social dynamic. I mean, I know people that have met their best friends at this gym. And at the end of the month, now it's going to be destroyed. And I'm going to have to see I'm going to probably change gyms. I'm afraid to play basketball with you, probably, if you're a guy. I mean, I take it easy. They did this with the Boy Scout. It's now called Scouting, and 200 girls now reign the organization. Yeah. So men build things that are cool. Men, like, if you leave a man to his own devices, they say he's going to squander or whatever, some bullshit, right? They say they can't live without women. Men thrive without women. They build civilizations, organizations. Men are funny. Like, you remember old YouTube where men would just shoot the shit with their friends and they would come up with the funniest stuff. Now I have to look at vagina on YouTube. Now I have to look at half naked women on YouTube. And now I have to lose my basketball court. I admire you for pushing through all of this. I mean, God, we're not going to feel bad for me. I mean, it's just, I'll live, but it's, and it's the same thing in Kentucky. We recently got 50-50 custody, right? And there was a man who actually reached out to me and he said that 50-50 custody is stupid because he had 50-50 custody. He was from overseas. And I'm like, why wouldn't you want to see your kids half the time? And he says, you just become a babysitter for the wife when she has a new boyfriend. And she's always turning the kids against you. So they don't listen to you and it's just hell on earth. So even if you get 50-50 custody, the wife is still going to make your life a living hell. It's like hell on earth. And I was talking to someone the other day and he's like, if I could just find a wife. And I'm like, it's not on the menu. You can't order that. Can I get a wife? Can I get a girl to stick it out? No, you can't. I hate to say it. No, it doesn't. No. You could get a wife if you pay her $100K a debt, maybe. She'll probably leave you after. Women are always going to do what's in our best interest. How long have you had your Thailand wife? Is it less than 15 years? Then shut up. You have no idea how this is going to end. Really, if we wanted to bring traditionalism back, we'd have to ban social media. Not going to happen. Way too many. Like, I think a third of Gen Z women are employed by social media. That's never going to happen. And with the gym, I mean, so let's say I bring this to the attention and I get to management and I complain and I say, there's so many people that love this basketball court. Look at all the members that love this. Don't you have any loyalty? And the management's going to say, look, we're trying to make money off of these broads. We don't care. Yeah. And the trainers, it's kind of like, the men going to the gym are the peasants in this equation. The women going to the gym are the high status women because they have the most money. Therefore, they are going to be catered to, right? Even though the men are like higher status than normal, most likely, right? They're still going to take that basketball court. The trainers are all going to say, no, 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 we need the basketball court gone because they want to make more money. The yoga instructors are going to say, nope, we need that gone because they want to make more money. The front desk people, everybody that people that work in the hair salon, the cafe, all those people are making money off of women. Therefore, there's no incentive to change it, right? It's going to get worse. Yeah, there's a hair salon in my gym. There's a massage place too. I'm going to miss that basketball court. They converted a basketball court to a paddle court. Yeah, for women. It's going to get worse until men stop it. Well, men aren't going to stop it because by the time they have the power to stop it, they have too much to lose. Imagine you're a young guy going to the gym. Nobody cares about your opinion. Now you've worked your way up and you have a family and you're working at the gym. You're like a manager of the gym. Well, now you have to cater to women because you have mouths to feed, right? Thank you. Pretty unknown. Appreciate you. What do men get out of stopping it? Less money? Once men have learned the system and are using the system, who's going to stop? Are Chads going to stop banging your future wives? I heard a guy say, "Oh, I'm going to have 4 kids." No, you're not. Why would you have 4 kids? Why would you get that? Why would you? The young women, I'm going to be a traditional woman. No, you're not. No, it's not happening. No. And I see it in front of my eyes, right? Now, let's say someone comes into political power, okay? And they now they're going to make alimony and child support illegal. Well, my dog walker guy doesn't want that to happen because there's a divorced woman in my apartment complex that pays her ex-husband probably pays for the dog walking services. He doesn't want that. He's got a wife. He's got kids. Something you guys probably aren't going to get. Sorry, fellas. Now humans do come up with solutions. So eventually I think there will be solutions. But remember, Rome took 250 years to fall. Rome didn't fall in a day. Inherent truth, men have to build themselves. You're only cooked if you believe you're cooked. Well, and that's true. That's why I say traditionalism isn't happening in the system. And a lot of your outcomes in life are luck. A lot of people think they can be in complete control of their love life, No, you're not. I'm going to have a genetic legacy. Probably not. No, you're probably not. Even if you have kids, they're probably not going to have kids. Why would the statistics not apply to you? Right? Oh, I'm going to have kids so I have a genetic legacy. Well, so let's say you have 2 kids, which is that's above average now. Oh, right. Well, your daughter goes to college. Now she doesn't want kids. That's why I'm going to have a lot of kids. Again, how old's your wife? How many kids? How old's your wife? Your wife has to agree to it. You don't get that choice. How long have you guys been married? If it's under 15 years, I just don't want to hear it. Is it a legacy if your kids are not raised in your image? You think your wife and teachers are going to not influence your legacy? Yeah. I mean, my little sister, both of my parents are Republican, conservative. You're 29. You're not having that many kids. Yeah. I mean, okay. How many do you have? Sorry, I'll ask, how many do you have? But where am I going back to? Both of my parents conservatives. Okay. My sister, before I fixed her, was a fat, blue-haired feminist. A fat, blue-haired feminist. You're not in control. When your daughter goes to school and watches all the OnlyFans girls make a bunch of money, and still get married after, why wouldn't she do it? 3 kids. Okay. Well, I guess you're actually on your way. Good job. You're like the only person beating the birth rate. Congratulations. Our youngest 1 month ago. There's like one. Actually, the future is baby mothers, right? Now, a lot of people say, Pearl, what's your plan to fix the problem? Well, why on earth would you think I have a solution? Like, why on earth would you think if I had a solution that it would be good? I'm a commentator, right? I'm very good at describing what's going on. How did I fix my sister? I told her how to get hot guys. Yeah, I said, because a lot of times they're like, oh, just find a good man. These hoes don't want good men. They want men with 6-pack abs. Right? Yeah, she wants to know how to get Chad. And that's like, we had a caller once, and, everyone's in the chat saying, oh, tell her to go to the engineering department. She doesn't want to know. She wants to know how to get the athletes. Oh, but they'll get cheated on. Well, that's like saying, it's like telling men not to originally gun for the CEO role. Women want to shoot for the starters, Traditionalism will come back. Yeah, we'll all be dead though, right? So now what's the solution to this on a personal level? And I'm just going to tell you, because this stuff used to weigh really heavy on me. And a lot of people ask me, how can you say that the future is so bad and still have a positive outlook, right? You got to ask yourself the question, is this something I can control? And if the answer is no, accept it, right? And it's actually the most freeing thing on the planet. If I have a daughter someday, I cannot stop her from being a whore if she wants. All I can do is give her the information. She's got to make the choice. And it makes you a better parent, in my opinion. Because controlling parents are the worst parents, right? The neurotic ones, afraid to give their kids any freedom, afraid to allow their kids to whore just like they did and make mistakes like they did. You know, making a mistake is kind of part of life. Getting pumped and dumped as a woman humbles you into finding your husband. A lot of women would not have found their husbands if they didn't get pumped and dumped. Thank you, Living Sensible. For men, you know, simping, that's part of life. Simping out and just loving that girl and having that insane high and just her fucking your best friend. That's part of life, right? The highs and the lows, it kind of makes life worth living, right? And that's the answer. Is you don't know how many kids you'll have. You have no idea if you'll have a genetic legacy. It's not in your control. And that is the most freeing thing. It makes you a better boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. You can't control another person. If they want to leave, they got to leave. He's mad. He wants control. Well, and we got to look at the benefit of this. Women never liked their husbands that much. There's a lot of men that thought their wives were in love with them, whose wives hated them. And I know this because I've interviewed so many daughters of those traditional couples where the wife was just talking shit for years. Let people that don't want to be with me don't be with me. I don't want to keep my enemy close. Yeah. It's freeing, right? Now you get to see women what they truly wanted. And for most men, it's just not you. And I think there's a point where men get genuine desire from a woman. Like they meet a woman that would like crawl through broken glass to be with them. Usually something's wrong with her, right? Usually something's wrong with her. And they get to a point where they'd rather be alone than not get that from the woman. They would rather be by themselves than not get a woman that would crawl through broken glass to be with them. Most men have never experienced this in their lives. Most men have never had a woman that wanted to be with them that much because, you know, you probably suck in some way. You probably just don't have the sauce like that. You know, most people don't. Most women, we're not men's first choice either, right? We don't even want the men where we're their first choice. As the rebound gains momentum, women will get married earlier. No, there's no indication that's going to happen. They asked Gen Z women where men fall in their priorities. It's like seventh. Solo travel is above men. That's how little we care. There's no indication it's coming back in any way. And stop thinking you're going to get a wife. You're probably not getting one. Ladies, stop thinking you're going to get a husband. It's probably not going to happen. You probably weren't raised to be a wife. It's probably just not going to happen for most people. Because women can't help how they feel, right? We can't help who we have genuine desire for. That's biological, right? That, I mean, yeah, I mean, you could turn Amish, but even those women don't like their husbands that much. You ever seen the ex-Amish women? There's women that leave the Amish. So we're just kind of in a situation where men don't want women that don't like them that much, or the self-respecting men don't want women that don't like them that much. The non-self-respecting men will take anything, and that desperation causes women to run. And women can't help how they feel, and we're biologically predispositioned to be attracted to 10% of men. That's what it is. And we got two choices. We can suppress women's desires or let them be out in the open. And now you see what women really want. Bullshit. Everyone has feelings, but women will follow their feelings and have no integrity. I mean, that's true, right? But it doesn't matter if that's true. It doesn't matter. Women's feelings run society. So it doesn't matter. Women are going to keep doing what we're doing. I finally understand why they got women in burqas. Yep. Because women don't like men that much. Women are only want to be with like 20. That's why women will be older and they'll still be thinking about that one guy from like, I mean, they've documented this in women that are like 80 years old, where they just, that's why Titanic hit such a nail, because so many women have that one guy that's not their husband. Many men, right? It's like they're dying to be women's second choice. And I don't understand it, right? Why would you want to be, I mean, being a man's second choice, I don't think is the end of the world, because women love men where we're their second choice. Like, you know, that they don't like us that much. But why as a man would you want to be a woman's second choice? Like, why would you want a woman that doesn't want you? Your integrity ends where the women's free will begins. I don't even think women are really leaving men for a hoe phase, right? I know we like make fun of hoes, but really women get attention from men. What I see is women get attention from men either through their hobby communities, social media, hobby communities, etc. Male friends. Women don't really need like, you know, now we have vibrators, chat GPT to solve our problem. Like, the way I see it, women aren't even I don't think women are not getting married for a hoe phase. I just think it's to do literally anything else. And now you see women don't want to be mothers, wives, and be with men at all. And you can't take it personal, because women, like, we're not, like, we don't like each other, you know. Yeah, shout out to Doug MPA. I'm in my 70s and raised 4 girls back in the day, and one's married. Yeah, and did you really feel like you had control over what they did? No. You probably were a great dad. What's your advice to men who have daughters? I don't know why you'd get your advice from me, because I don't have daughters, but from my observations, you give them the information and let them make the choice. If you really want to force it upon them, I guess you could tie it to their inheritance and do an arranged marriage. but you're going to run the risk of your daughter hating you and hating her husband. So that's up to you. Sometimes people resent their parents for forcing a decision on them. Thank you. $2 super chat. Well, the reason you want a woman that's among the Amish, this guy says the older I get, the more I want an Amish woman. Well, it's just because you don't want to compete with other men, which is fair. Who wants to compete, right? But it's not the world you're in, You want to obfuscate your burden of performance as a man. You're saying 80-year cycles? Well, it's more than that because it started in 1920. So it's not swinging back. So usually if it starts to swing back, there's some indication. Again, there's no solution. It's going to keep going like this. At some point, women are going to get the freedom that they asked for and be treated more like men. You can hope maybe at that point they'll give up their power. But it's going to keep going. Women don't need to, women don't even need friend groups anymore. Like they don't have to go out into the real world. They can just go online. You said women aren't aroused by average men. What about the men of the 50s? Well, the same men in the 50s got divorced by their wives in the 70s. The highest divorce rate was 1970. It was 55%. I can compete with other men. I cannot compete with the big daddy government. Well, there's some men that do stay married for a lifetime and have the genuine desire, but it's only like 10% of men. So maybe talk to them and see what they did. Advice for fathers sending their daughters to college. Stop sending their daughters to college. Well, I mean, you could not send her to college, but Tinder you can use at home. So until modern women get the Amish woman in marriage is classified as the victim of the cult, then you will get changes. Yeah. $2. Thank you. I will bet you so much money that we will not see massive change in 2 years. They always say, oh, change is going to come, but they can never give me a date. That at least he gave me a date, right? But remember, I've been hearing that the change is coming for like a decade now. It's not coming. Traditionalism won't come back because we will have the robot to replace women that will allow unattractive people to keep working so the government can keep collecting taxes. Well, if anything, I think men are being outsourced more by robots than vice versa. Because I think most men want a woman and would take that over a robot, even though it's kind of crazy because they shouldn't. Like we're more unlikable and stuff. But how many women have vibrators? Who owns more? Do more men own sex dolls or do more women own vibrators? Women are the real purchasers of sex dolls. The real daddy government is other men answering to women. Yeah. And men just keep on simping for women. It'll just never end. Maybe deleting Tinder and social media, but do you think that's really going to happen? Oh, charges. I can't read. I can like barely read. It just is what it is. Yeah, and I think it's hard for men that like work hard, right? It's hard for men that are in control in a lot of other areas of their life, like their money, their whatever. But you just can't control another person. And it's very freeing to accept that you cannot control another person. I'll give you another example, right? I'll tell you an example that actually hit close to home for me, where I realized this. Years ago, I had a friend who I considered my best friend, right? We were friends since pre-K. And, you know, we did everything together. We lived together for the summer. I considered her like one of my closest friends ever. And when I started doing this type of content, she decided she didn't want to be my friend anymore. She was so controlling of my thoughts and opinions that she couldn't have me have separate thoughts and opinions. And her thought process was, well, when I have kids someday, I can't have them see your content. So I let her go. I said, see ya. Recently, she reached out to me like years later, right? And asking me if I needed help. I was like, and it was funny because she said, I was willing to get on the phone with you today. And I thought about it and I'm like, bitch, what makes you think I want to talk to you, you crazy woman? And I felt like, and that never happened to me before, because when I was younger, I'd always feel like, oh, if someone walked away, like I did something wrong, da 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 da. But when this happened, I'm like, no, you're fucking nuts. You know, I'm actually good without it. And it's not until you start accepting that you can't control another person. People do crazy shit. It usually has nothing to do with you. It's actually all them. And that's women. A lot of times, guys, it's got nothing to do with you. It's women. And you just cannot control another person. And if they don't want to be with me, then I don't want to be with them. Another great live. Thanks, Pearl. And then a lot of times they come back later and you realize that it actually had nothing to do with them because their life is in shambles. I mean, this girl's fat now. It seems absolutely insane. I'm like, I mean, I haven't spoken to her, but I'm like, I am good. I am so good on that one. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm good on that. And a lot of times that happens to guys with exes. This woman they loved so much went on to make such terrible decisions. You realize, yeah, all my exes are doing horrible in life. So, I mean, this is my plea. Traditionalism, it's not coming back. And I would not expect things to get better. If it does, okay. But you're not getting a wife, you're not getting a family, and your genetic line is going to end. It's probably going to end with you or your kids. So, anyways, I just wanted to rant about that. Financial Frontier, you want to come on? I'll put it in that's Sean, right? Because I feel like he has thoughts on this. Just have tons of kids and pull an Elon. Well, I mean, that won't really change anything because, you know, Bach, the musician, he's one of the greatest musicians ever. Created modern music theory. Like, do you know how smart you have to be to create music theory? Music theory is hard to learn. He was so smart that he created it. And he had 9 kids and has no genetic lineage. It's not in your control. And by the way, this is hard even for me, right? I mean, I have crashed out. I don't even want to talk about my crash outs because they're so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. But it's something I wish I could have accepted sooner, right? Overweight culture killed attraction, killed Marg. Oh my God. Yeah. So please don't look. But like, I wish I learned this 10 years ago. that a lot of times when people like there was another girl, right? Another girl that was super mean to me, right? It turns out every time I'd ask her, like, if she, like, because I'm someone, I don't really keep score, right? So if I ask you to hang out, I'm not thinking, did you ask me as many times? I'm someone, this is how I think. I like to do stuff. So if I'm doing stuff anyway, I don't mind saying, hey, do you want to do this? Like, I'm running a half marathon and I invited like 10 people to do it with me. And I just said, whoever wants to go, go. I'm going. I am going, and you can go or you cannot go. Like, I'm going to go, right? That's how I feel. So, there's been times, there's one person that I'd invited a few times to things, right? And apparently this person was making fun of me for inviting them. And this girl is a woman, of course, right? She's telling everyone that she's like the greatest thing since sliced bread because I'm always inviting her to do stuff. And she's like, apparently she was ducking me. I had no idea. And I'm like, bitch, I send this like copy and paste text to like 10 different people. Like, it's 10 people I like, it's not an insult, but I don't really care if you go or not, right? And it turned out this girl, she was telling everybody that she, because she lives in a different state. I was like, every time I'm in that state, I would just text her. And apparently some of my ops, she would send the text to. And I was like, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. Because I'm like, I didn't even send you anything weird. I just said, do you want to like it? And weird shit, right? But imagine, I was like 10 years ago, I probably would have been like, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this treatment? But to now 10 years later, I'm like, no, she's just a bitch. Like I don't need you. People are lonely. It's actually not that difficult to find people to do stuff with. Like, do you know what I mean? And the older you get, you just kind of wish you had more of this mentality 10 years ago, because usually when someone leaves, like something better comes along, like, I actually, and I think of the relationship I had like 5 or 6 years ago. I was pretty torn up when it ended. And then I started my YouTube show right after, and I got on Pierce Morgan that year. And I was like, woohoo, a lot of times when people leave, something better happens, if Pearl was in full control for women, as sex would be mandatory and men would have full control of the money and women would have to work out. I don't know. I don't really like the idea of women being forced into sex, like with men they don't like. I don't know. I don't know how I would structure it, but I don't like that idea because I think that tortures the men. Have you seen a woman with a man she hates? That's why I switched my opinion on divorce. Oh my God, they torture those men. Oh my God. Some of you guys are simping out over a woman that's torturing you. Torturing. And it was kind of the same thing with the woman, right? What I was talking about, I'm like, why would I? She was like a secret op and I had no idea. And then when I found out, I'm like, thank God, I don't know. I don't want a woman telling everybody what I'm up to. What if my Gluck 9000 tips get out? I'm just messing. I'm just messing. But you know what I mean? It's like, you don't, anyway. So I just think the world is not going to get better, but that's okay. And people that just accept it and prepare accordingly and have the mindset of like, I can't control the future. I might have a kid. I might not have a kid. I might find love. I might not find love. My daughter might be a whore. She might not be a whore. I'm going to do the best strategy and make the best plan. And if it works out, it's like an army general. You send your guys into battle, they might all die, right? But you got to make a plan. And you're not going to say, "Hey guys, you're totally not going to die." No, they don't say that. I mean, they might, hype you. I don't know what generals do. I'm not a general, right? They might tell you you're going to win or like, I don't know, hype you. But like deep down, everyone knows that the plan might not work. And that's it. And you're going to be a happier person. Anyways, Sean, welcome to the show. Doug MPA, my guys. Tell me your thoughts on the topic. And if you just have any like insights that you had or maybe situations applicable, Sean, why don't you go first and then Doug?
Okay. Nah, you was
You are
spitting fire,
muted.
Pearl.
You are
Oh,
muted.
really?
Oh no, no, I can hear you.
I'll let
Okay.
am I muted? Is it
I
me?
don't know.
You guys hear
I
me?
can
Doug
hear
can
him.
hear me.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it was me. It was me. It wasn't you. Okay.
All
Yes.
right. Cool. Nah, it's all good.
I had my sound off. I usually catch it earlier because I'll have to play video. But go ahead, Sean.
No, I mean you were on point. I definitely agree the part where you just said, "Look, I don't want anybody who doesn't want me." Like it's almost crazy, right? To try to be with somebody who completely doesn't want to be with you. And I think most of what you were saying was a lot of being stoic, like just accepting the reality and then figuring out the best position and the cards you can play from this angle. So I don't think traditionalism is coming back. Like I said, even if you were Amish, they would just, call it a cult and then, write you up on charges eventually. So at the end of the day, it's just like accept the reality, move from that paradigm because I don't think everything sucks because of that. I think we still have a bunch of options. So definitely traditionalism is not coming back anytime soon. And hoping and dreaming or trying to bring back what's it called? No fault divorce. These are just pipe dreams. Like that's just cope. Guys, leave it alone and figure out where do you go from here. That is the best strategy. And there's flights overseas and everything. There's a lot of options, but they still suck too. So just know that.
Get you a ling ling, fellas. Doug
They
MPA,
crazy too.
yeah. There's still gonna be women. There's some guy who got the Thai wife in the chat. I'm like, why don't we wait a decade and see? Let's wait and see.
um,
Doug MPA, go ahead.
yeah, I'd say, guys, you know, feminism freed women up from being barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, but it also freed men up from their obligations from society too. It used to be, bachelors and playboys were like rich men, but guys, honestly, if you become the best version of yourself, even if you're making $60,000-$70,000 a year and you're not in like a primary housing market, if you're in like a secondary, tertiary housing market, you can live a good life. You get to choose, guys. Your life used to be set. My dad's generation, you graduate high school, you start working at the plant, or you join the military, and that's it. And then you got married and you had kids. So, or the rich kids went off to college. Guys, we have all these options now, and holding on to this whole old traditional, like, why? So yeah, I think that we just need to embrace it and just embrace the fact that we have options now. Women always talk about the obligations that women had to society and how they were shackled down. Men used to be too, but now we're not anymore. So enjoy it.
You used to inherit a farm. Now you're forced to be a farmer. Oh my God, I would hate being a farmer. Couldn't be me. Shout out to Doug MPA. He's been here since the pregame days. Do you guys have situations when you were younger where you thought of something one way and then changed your outlook?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I used to be a dummy who was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna give me a black queen and build my black queen." And I mean, like, that's what I was taught from my culture. Like, and then she gotta be like my mama, which is also weird. That's kind of like incest vibes. But net, that's what I was told from the jump. And it wasn't until I started traveling, seeing the world, that I started to change my mindset in particular, and then started to see a pattern amongst all women of all cultures. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, like what I think and hear is not matching with reality. So is there a problem with me or reality? And I sound kind of lunatic if I'm saying the problem is reality and they don't conform to my mindset. So I decided to start shifting it, started to look at the relationships different, started to accept that people will leave you, make decisions that don't make sense in comparison to the options they have. And that's people. People have free will. And so once you kind of understand, like, okay, they just have free will, then just allow them to have that. And you're either going to be the guy you want to be or just act like you're that person. What I mean by guys often say, like, man, I want the kids. I want to I don't want to be a degenerate and womanize women. Okay, cool. So Doug might and I offered you a solution of saying, just go out and be yourself. Then just stand on who you are. Just be who you want to be. And women should not change who you are based off of if they're twerking or giving out sex for $10 a month on OnlyFans.
I
That
used
shouldn't change you.
I used to take it really personally if someone did something to me. I'm like, how do they not feel guilty? And my dad one day, he was like, murderers don't feel guilty. What? Like, he's like, that's on them.
Facts.
He's
They
like,
even have a justification for it.
yeah, he's like, a lot of people don't feel guilty. Like, if you see people after they commit crimes, they're like, yeah, I did it. You know, when they confess, they're almost like happy.
Or they're dancing in front of the victims and everybody's like, I can't believe it. Like, what do you expect them to be sad? They did it because they did it, and that's how they think. They think differently. And so you got to accept that.
Ooh, Doug MPA. Snow Bunny in the chat says cheers. You know.
Oh yeah. I want her to come out. She's the one that I told you wants to come on the show. I think it would be a good conversation.
Do you have a story for us? I know you do.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, Doug.
About what's changed?
Yeah, if you have a story from when you were younger.
Oh shoot. So where do I start? So I thought that women were victims, and I thought that men had to make up for it somehow. Like we owe this. I'm from Western Washington, guys. Come on now. So I believe in that feminist past where like men were nothing but trauma and towards women. So men had this just debt. And then I also believe that your wife or significant other should be your equal. I used to not think about you know the fact that men bring more to the table and are more of a utility than women. I didn't really realize that. I didn't realize that until later on in life. I'm trying to think. And then honestly, I thought that marriage meant forever.
That was the best
Did
one.
we Pearl?
Sorry, guys.
There was a
trying to
big
think
one.
while I was talking.
Go
Sorry
ahead.
about that. Go ahead.
If the internet stopped working worldwide, would traditional relationships return? No. I don't think
Negative.
so. No.
Negative.
The whole
They'll
power
do it by
grid.
pigeon, mail, like they'll figure
The
it
whole
out.
power grid across the world would have to go out.
I heard like peasants used to just like the king would just steal the girl and she would just go.
Bruh, Pearl, he used to go in there and clap cheeks and the guards would just be standing there and you would have to stay there with your kids and just wait for the king to be done or the lord or the duke, and then they'll just leave. So I'm like, bro, the past was pretty aggressive. Like, you don't want that.
Well,
like a dude like me could just have a
supposedly-
west wing of broads
Supposedly, that's where
sleeping on bunk beds.
that's where the F word came from. FUCK was fornication under commandment of the king. So, men of status would just go to your village and just start banging chicks because they were royalty or of status.
You
And all
couldn't do
you
nothing.
do was just sit there and just watch it.
Sean, what were you going to say that Doug had an important one?
Oh, no. Yeah, I said, a story actually when I was growing up. I just remembered it. I was just sitting like POV, realizing that my mom was a bopper. Like, she would, like, that for real. Like, I forgot what, maybe I was like, about 15. I was just sitting there and we were going to the city called Baltimore City. I think you might know where the violent crimes are. And I'm like, why are we going here? I hate going here. And she was like rolling up on this guy that was on the corner. He was a drug dealer, right? And we in the car, I'm looking like an idiot. My sister is too. And she's talking to this drug dealer out the side of a window. He like, what's up, little ninjas? And then maybe like a couple months later, this guy moved into the crib.
What?
He starts selling drugs in the community. Yeah, it's pretty bad, bro. He starts selling drugs in the community. Like, he got, like, I'm telling you, I used to chase tadpoles in my community. But when he came, like, kids were turning from this to like this. They were selling drugs and stuff. It was mad crazy. And I remember my sister was trying to stop it, like trying to tell my other family, trying to be like, get them involved. And my mom at one point told my sister, like, she was a jealous little bee. Like, she was hating and dirty macking on her. And I was like, yo, what? I didn't know this until later, and it transpired. So I just understood like people can make the effed up decisions and be on their time. Like my mom dated a guy who had a bunch of laundromats. He was successful. He was nice to us, but she decided to let the drug dealer move in and live with him and have him inject. And that dude used to beat me like a runaway slave. But I just understood from early on that people make decisions and it is what it is, especially as a young boy. My sister, she didn't have much issues because she was a woman, but most of my family protected her. But for me, he had free range on me because nobody really cared. So I just learned from early, like, man, you have to be wise. Even the people who say they love you the most, like my mother, right? They'll make decisions all on their own. And my mom was thirsty for that thug D.
If I can
Like it
bounce
is
off
what
of,
it was.
if I can bounce off of what Sean says, this let me segue into what I always say, guys. American black women are the scum of the earth, dude. Straight up, like the scum of the earth, and like American black mothers are the worst mothers on the planet. You cannot convince me different. Now you may be saying, "Oh, Doug and PA, your mom was black." Yeah, my mom was a scumbag too. My mom and my sister are scumbags, and too many black men, our mothers are fucking scumbags, dude. And what Sean is saying is not uncommon. Go ahead. I'm done. I am done.
Yeah, because you probably had no control, Sean, as a kid. Like you would. I mean, how old were you when that happened?
Oh man, he was around for quite some time. I would say 15, 16, stuff like that. And a little bit earlier because he was in the early days, but I just didn't notice that part. But the
Yeah.
only control I had, Pearl, was on myself. Like that was the biggest savior myself, just realizing earlier and accepting the reality and moving accordingly. So I moved accordingly. Even years after, my brother, which was his son, but I was, of course, not his biological son. He still hated his father. Me, I didn't because I accepted it. He was a drug dealer. I mean, what do I expect him to come in and teach me how to play badminton? Like, of course, he probably wasn't going to do that, right? So my mom picked him, so how could I be mad at him and not look at my mom? But my mom, she also is a human that makes dumb decisions, just like everybody else. And I just have to accept it.
Yeah, and a
And
lot
move
of times
forward.
it has nothing to do with you. If you take it
Nothing.
personally, like you're going to be in a lot more pain. It's like a lot of times when the wives crash out, you didn't do anything. It's like on her. She's going to keep. Like I know have a guy. His wife is suing him, and she's remarried. Like, what do you think she's going to do to the next guy? She's just going to keep repeating the pattern. So if he was really sad over his divorce when she left, it's like it had nothing to do with you. Some people are just self-destructive. I'd say it's more people than not, to be honest.
But you have to also remember, everyone has trauma, but it's a parent's responsibility to not take the trauma out on their kids because the kids didn't ask to be here.
Yeah,
But even with that, though, again, that doesn't matter. Some people still do that. So you have to just be in that mindset that people are going to people. You know what I'm saying? Like people are going to do people things and then they're going to do whatever. There is no woulda, coulda, shoulda world. There's only what happened world.
Yeah. Sean, what's your thoughts on the topic?
Oh, is traditionalism going to come back? I mean, no way in hell. Like, I just don't see it coming back other than like folks from abroad coming to the US. But even then, many of them are being modernized. So I think it's kind of like cancer. It just spreads and, it doesn't really go away. There's no real therapeutic to it. You know what I mean?
Do you have any stories where like a time in your life where you thought you could control something and then you just accepted it was out of your control?
I would say when it comes to dating women, like I used to think like, I looked at a lot of the manosphere content and a lot of the, red pill stuff saying if you hold frame, if you do this, that, and the other, or that Christian trad nonsense, like, oh, they just want a solid man who's going to put them in place. The reality is once women got economic opportunity and they pretty much had the right to do whatever they wanted to do, they kind of showed us their true colors. And you see that in just about every single country. So you can't say, oh, this is a Western thing. No, you see that in the East now, too. You have girls in China doing the same thing, girls in India doing the same thing, girls all over the world. Doesn't matter if it's Nigeria, it's only these Middle Eastern countries that will like never let it happen over there. And they're serious about that. But even then, the girls in Pakistan, you see them go to UK, they get westernized. So I think as long as they have access to some sort of social media that can show them another world, I think that sort of temptation is just going to corrupt them. I don't think there's really getting around it.
And the women in the 70s divorced their husband too. And that was before social media. You know, my grandma, I asked her, I said it earlier. My grandma said it was because birth control was invented. That's what she said. She said everyone got birth control and divorced their husbands. I was like, okay, grandma.
I mean, I just think once folks can compare, like they can see another life that's out there, and they think
once women can compare.
Oh, sorry, say that again.
I said once women can compare. You said
yeah, absolutely. I think men are just fine with mediocre, to be honest. Like we're just built like that.
Pearl, you were cooking somebody. Not cooking them, but they were talking to you. It was Sean Kelly. You had the interview, and you were just like saying the truest stuff. Like, okay, you're giving me a choice to stay somewhere in, let's just say, Detroit. Start going to work 9 to 5 and start trying to work and, raise your kids. Or even if you allow me to be a household wife, right? Just be at home, right? Before we had kids, continuous days, right? And we don't have unlimited money. So that's my option. Or go to Dubai on a jet ski and a yacht. You sound dumb thinking somebody is going to choose the boring life in which you said. It's crazy. I think the Ryan O'Teraband said, like, you got to allow people to have options and live their lives. And then maybe later they'll come back and say, hey, I want to chop it back. But then they might switcheroo again. So at the end of the day, I don't think it was ever like that. You guys are in fantasy land. Slave masters' wives were sleeping with slaves.
Yeah.
In the Colosseum, the wives were sleeping with the gladiators and the ludus. They were never doing that. That's why they had the chastity belt. But every time we have to keep coming back and telling you guys, flights of fantasy, nostalgia, guys. It was never like that.
But I think I know why they continue to tell these sorts of lies and tropes. You know what I mean? Like they know society only works if men are productive and we're incentivized. So they know as soon as if we learn the truth, we're not going to give a shit about maintaining anything. We're going to do things for ourselves. And then society's kind of screwed. And so they say, okay, we got to keep the men in the race. We got to keep them in the maze, going through around, looking for the cheese. So we got to incentivize them and make them have something to believe in. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if a rat was in a maze and he knew there was no cheese. He'd just sit there. He wouldn't give a shit.
But the thing about it, Sean, is the cheese ain't even goddamn women. It's resources. When are men going to evolve, guys? I want resources. I grew up poor. I want to survive. I want food and rations before I want abroad. I want to eat. I want to have a good life. I don't want to live with bacon, Arm & Hammer bacon soda in my refrigerator, and that's all I got as options. So my first priority and my mission in this world is my life. A cherry on top could be a woman, but I think that's stupid in itself to ever actually do that. So that's what I'm saying. What do you mean the point? If they take away women, there's no point to life now? Let's just delete us?
I think he means like the low paying, like thankless jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like there's jobs that, like there's a guy that can live for like, I think not, there's a job no one wants where they're like in the middle of the ocean in like on a light pole or something. I don't know. It was on TikTok, but like that was actually super high paying, but like who's going to do stuff like that? Even if it pays good money, if they don't have a family, why do they even need the money?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are fine with a minimalist life. You know what I mean? So why make men want to climb the pyramid if at the end of the day you're good with a minimalist life, you're done, right? You're not going to have a productive country.
Well, that's always been men. There's always been men that have been middle ground and they're okay. And if you're okay with the life, then there should be no complaining, right? As you just said in the statement, right? Like, I'm okay with this. But what you're trying to really say is, what I want out of life is I'm a coochie commie. I want some guaranteed coochie out of this whole ordeal. If not, I quit. I throw in the towel. And I'm saying that's never been a lot in life. You know what happened? This is funny, Sean. You say that. Say to me as the king, you're not going to produce the crops. What will happen to you? If you're like, I don't get no family. At the end of the day, the king takes all the women. So I'm not going to do anything. What do you think I'm going to do to you as king?
Probably going to kill me.
Exactly. So you guys got it way better now. That's not like okay, look, I'm gonna do the bare minimum. I really don't care. This is my life. I enjoy it. I'm a minimalist. That's cool. Then you could live like that, right? But there's not going to be a king that comes and chop your head off because you're not going to do X, Y, and Z. So again, the times we live in is better. I'm trying to get guys out of the damn dark hole, not as go back into the plantation of traditionalism. That's not coming back. That's gone, bruv. You're gonna have to evolve. If not, then okay, crash out. There's people who always do that too.
Yeah, but I think the times that a lot of guys are looking back to aren't the times where guys were either slaves or serfs or whatever it is, serving a king with no real future, right? They're looking back to the time, like, let's say 80 years ago, where even if you were doing a basic job, you were, or working with your hands, you at least got yourself a girl. And so now guys are looking at, doesn't matter how hard you work, you're not even going to get a quality girl. So why in the current times, comparing to the times of 80 years ago, why are we working hard for? So now you got all these tradcons from Daily Wire telling men to man up and do all this other nonsense. And there's a good girl out there, right? There's, a prize at the end. They want to lie to us.
Ecclesiastically.
Yeah. Exactly, right? I mean, you're hearing Andrew Wilson and all these other folks, try to pitch us this, ecclesiastic future of Sky Daddy's going to save us. And, they're just not being honest.
Well, because they're they're like high status men. They need the low status men to keep doing the jobs, to to do what they do. So you're a high status guy, you need guys like doing the truck. Like, who wants to do trucking? You know what I mean? Like, that's I don't know. I've talked to older guys that are in trucking and they all wish they didn't do it. It's not like a highly praised job in society. Women don't really like it, but we need it, unless they automate it, then we're, I guess. But who's going to do the jobs that no one wants to do? Like, that's why they want to push men to do it.
Well, men only got so much time left, because after that, it's just get the robots. Like, after that, we can just hit the robots, and then it really doesn't matter what you guys want to do or will not do. And then you can't take nothing away from us because we got the robots. So I think it's a fine line, and I get what you're saying about 80 years ago. That I kind of get that. But that's just a small friction point in society and in America. You're talking about probably 80 years and only in America, right, Sean?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So it's a very small inflection point. And didn't those guys have to go to Vietnam War and World War II? Like, didn't they have to do that too?
Yeah, I mean, there were guys back then who were shoved in the meat grinder.
So wait, so to get some coochie today and to get a traditional woman, you want to go back and go through World War II?
Well, to be fair, right? Even those guys were sold this idea that you gotta serve your country, you gotta die for all those women back home who are, going to be waiting for you if you make it back, right? And then obviously even those girls were probably banging other guys. So even back then they were still lying to us. Like,
so you see, it's always
that
been
idea.
Like that.
You know what? It's that hope that I think a lot of guys have out there, that if they just do this, that, and the other, eventually they can get this girl in Colombia who's going to be magic, right? As soon as the American guy goes over there or whatever it is. Like, guys are always looking for some opportunity that's going to be out there, that's going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I think just we're motivated that way.
Do you know what's incredible? Men's ability to believe they're the only guy hitting. It's incredible to me. Men just don't even want to believe there's other men ever. They just cannot. There's so many guys I've talked to where I'm like, your wife was cheating on you. No, I don't think she would do that.
No.
They'll tell me the situation.
That happened to me. Remember?
And then, and they're like, no, that just would never. Oh, she was so into me. I'm like, so there was a girl that literally killed another girl over a guy, and she was banging a different guy the week before. I know another guy. He got caught cheating, right? And he wasn't it was because he wasn't careful with it, sexually. I'll just say wasn't careful. He brought something home, and I'm thinking, why would you do that? Why would you not assume this other girl was banging other dudes? Isn't that
But to be fair, right? If you were to look at it for, let's say, young men today, would you really want them to be red-pilled and bitter and jaded at 17, 18?
Yes.
Or would it be better for them to be happy for another 10 years before then realizing that they're getting screwed over? At least they get to be happy for that 10 years. You know what I mean?
Blue-pilled guys are so happy.
It's like that scene from The Matrix. Do you guys remember where Cypher is talking to the agent and he's having dinner with him, and he says that line where he basically says that I want you guys to plug me back into the Matrix, and he says something along the lines of ignorance is bliss.
Women in the 70s started with home phone lines and soap operas. That's when the divorce rates began to rise. Oh, I never thought about that. That was social media.
Look, there's always a boogeyman, man, that we say that's external. I'm a grown man, and I gave women sovereignty. I gave them free will. I think that's what God was trying to tell us with Adam and Eve, but people keep missing the point. People have free will. And once I accept that they have free will, they make the decisions because of them. I don't start trying to be like, I'm about to blame WB. I'm about to blame Nickelodeon. It's not Nickelodeon. It's not MTV's fault. It's not Instagram's fault. People are going to do what they want to do. They're just going to use Instagram to do what they want to do. You get me?
And people resent people that control them. You know what I mean? Like my parents were kind of free range parents ish. And I asked my dad why he did that, and we all turned out pretty well, to be honest. So I was like, Dad, why did you give us so much freedom? And he said that like people don't like to be controlled. And he was the CEO of a big company, but he just said people, if you control them, they will resent you. I think that's why women hate nice guys so much, because nice guys are usually pretty blue pilled. And so you just have to be something you're not. Yeah. They're like, my good woman's coming. And we're like, we're whores, damn it. Like,
yeah, know it. Like, Jesus Christ, y'all such licks, man. Most of them also say, like, once they see their blue pill husband, they start seeing them as children too. Like, they really don't like it. It's a grotesque experience to have. I mean, it gives me the boils when I see a man being a blue pill. So I don't think like the rage is really called red pill rage. I don't think there's no such thing. I think it's blue pill rage. It's still guys, they're raging because they're mad that what they thought women were sweet spice and everything nice is no longer true. That's not red pill at all. That's blue pill. If you accept it, then you move into the red pill. But at the end of the day, you cipher. You want to go back. You want to get plugged back in and stuff. That's why you mad, trying to kill Neo.
And when guys beg, it's like, thank you for confirming you're a super set. Like, that is the most repulsive thing to women. Like, if you beg in any way, it's like, we will never we might have had sex with you again, and now it'll never happen ever. Like, it'll never. We can.
Or what about the guys who say this, Pearl? She's the boss. You know she's in charge. Guys do that. I see guys do it so much. And again, Pearl, they're doing it because they thinking that's the way they get the box. Like, they gain favor. You get what I'm saying? It's not like they're like, yo, she's the boss. Don't ask me who wears the pants. It's like, what? So they really don't know. They're really out of touch with a lot of things about women. I think most guys are very lost about the true nature and the reality of women. Like, facts.
Yeah.
You know what I find kind of hilarious when people say, oh, birth control really started it in the 70s and, all the this, that, and the other. It's like that happened because no fault divorce went out the window. So now you started seeing these divorces getting processed en masse. But it's not like women weren't leaving the house or, the men weren't leaving the house and people weren't splitting and they weren't screwing other people. It's just there weren't any divorces filed in courts because they were kind of held up because you actually needed a legitimate reason. They had trials, things like that. But once they legalized that made it so easy to get a divorce that like all the people who were technically quote unquote not divorced legally, they were living separately. They were sleeping with other people. It's not like it was different before that.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I watched true crime, and there was like they'll talk about stories from like the 20s and 30s, and like there was this one true crime, and the woman had a side dude in her attic. Like, he lived in the attic for like 15 years, and they ended up killing the husband. That was like how it ended.
What the hell? That was real life, yeah?
That was real, like, it happened. And then they moved across the country and they brought the side dude. Like, imagine like coming home every night and you don't know there's a dude living in your fucking attic.
A whole dude, bro.
One of my friends was in the military, and his friend who married this woman, and they had two kids. He was white. His wife was white, and she started banging this black dude, and would like bring him to the house and like sleep with him in the bedroom, and he would sleep in like a tent in the living room. Yeah. And so one time, uh, he, my friend was waiting with this guy because they only had one car, a minivan, and the wife came to pick him up, and her boyfriend was in the passenger seat. The kids were in the middle seat, and he had to open the back door and sit in the back seat of the van. Yeah, yeah, this actually happened. And so, and they'd ask him, it's like, "What are you dealing with this for?" He's like, "Yeah, uh, I don't want to not see my kids and blah blah blah." And we're just getting it worked out. But yeah, it happened for like a year, and then my friend ended up moving off base, and he never followed up with the guy. But yeah,
I don't know. I think like there's a sense of peace that people have that have just accepted that there's no hope. I don't know how to put it, but it's like they're much more enjoyable as people. The worst people are the ones trying to save the universe.
I agree with that. Once you like, someone once told me that you're born alone and you're going to die alone. And if you can accept that, you'll never become bitter over any sort of relationship again. You just accept people for what they are and understand that the outcome is what you already know it to be. And you won't have any sort of regret or rage or anything like that. I think the problem with the people who have the rage or the upset is because they bet on a future that was never actually promised to them, and then they become bitter about it. Versus when you already know you have nothing coming to you, no matter what happens, you won't be upset.
Daniel, what are your thoughts on the topic? If you have a story, feel free to share it, or just a general comment. Go ahead.
Just a general comment. I think something I gave up on was women's excessive spending or how much they'll spend on like something that they really want. And it was interesting. I was watching a video where a guy had a theory about the prices in our economy wouldn't be as bad as they were if men were able to keep a handle on women not spending $8 like on a Big Mac, willing to spend any price for what they want. Because, when consumers find out that people are dumb enough to spend $8 on what they used to charge for $5, well, it's not going to ever go back down.
yeah, it's like the whole pink tax thing. The reason why companies charge a pink tax is because women are dumb enough to pay it.
Yeah, you just got to own stuff as quick as you can because it's going to get harder and harder. Like why would they not keep raising the price of everything? Like why would they not?
And Pearl, I want to add something too, because when you were talking about earlier, like, or we were all talking about most men, and then they work hard and they don't get the women, etc. It's like, bro, remember, I'm the top 1% and I have issues too. Like it's not free and liberated. So imagine that. Imagine you work extremely hard to get to this said pinnacle of the mountain. And then at the end of the day, you find out that it still does not matter. You look smacks, you get the cash, right? You go through wars, you get the scars, you become competent. And then at the same level, after you achieved it and said, yeah, I'm the top one, it still is the same nonsense, bro.
I agree.
I still don't get more leads than a mid. A mid kills the market. I might get like 100 or 200 matches and stuff, but a mid gets like 1,700 or something crazy like that, right? So at the end of the day, that has its own downside to it. If I allow it, I just enjoy being at the top in general. But at the end of the day, I could be salty like, damn, I got the money and she's still going to cheat. Yes, she's still going to cheat. Maybe with a guy who got no money, I'm going to still get Tom Brady. That's life.
Yeah.
I have a theory on why that is. Because as a top 1%er, your woman doesn't have anything to complain about.
Oh, I assure you, they will find something.
That's not
I promise
true at all,
you that.
dude. No, that's
No, but so they'll find more deficiencies in you because they just have the time.
Yep.
Bags. But what the KS said, you're not a high value man, you're a high value target. And I took that to be serious. That's what it is. You're a lick now. So imagine that. You're not a lick. So if you're just an average guy, you're not a lick. It's not like a shorty is going to have a real come up on you. But for somebody to be up there, it does come with benefits if I become an issue. You know, she can not only just in marriage, that's not even the game that shorties are playing no more. They'll just do a civil lawsuit on you and be able to gain money from you. They don't need to marry you no more. So if their name is attached to you in any romantic way, they can later just come up with some civil lawsuit against you to target your assets and your wealth. So again, you become a high value target. So I think it's not as cushy as it might seem. Like, yeah, you get the pets, you get the money. Andrew Tate was still dealing with problems with his shorty.
Got thrown in
Like
jail.
at the end of the day, yeah, exactly. Behind a shorty, nothing else he did got him thrown in jail, Pearl. Nothing. But the only thing it did was a woman. Like, come on, Troy never. It had no problems, no issues. Troy was almost undefeatable until a woman. Like, bruh, the story, the Garden of Eden was dope until a woman. So the story remains the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in, guys. There's a lady who called in, so we're gonna talk. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
What's going on, Megan? All right, you got to get your mic on.
My IT skills go like if you shut it down and turn it on again, and if it fixes it, that's great. But can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. Hey,
So
girl.
what's on the topic?
I was kind of late in the jumping in, but I was going to go back to how women, I feel like, only until they run out of resources do they have to mature from like an evolution standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
When they use their beauty as essentially a currency, which is fine when they're young. But until they actually run out of that, so to speak, leverage, then is when they have to mature from a evolution. Otherwise, if you stay stagnant, you're never forced to change.
Right. Do you agree that traditionalism is not coming back?
I think that it's going to take, I often wonder what it would take for it to change, but it seems far gone, and there doesn't seem to be, I mean, you could do like this, take away social media or the dating, but it's so far-fetched of an idea. I don't know what it would change for women to actually be accountable and stop like.
John says a zombie apocalypse. Again, PI, I brought you up in case you had any questions.
Yeah.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So what do you think? Why do you think that men want traditionalism to come? Why do you think that men have on the right have such a hard time accepting that traditionalism won't come back?
Why do men have such a hard time accepting?
On the right.
That's a good question. That's I think part of it is kind of like what you guys were just talking about, how I just don't know. I think that these women piggybacked off of some women used to be virtuous. They kind of piggybacked off of that idea and ran with it because it wasn't. Pardon?
How do women used to be virtuous? Like how?
Well, they would never talk about their husbands in a disrespectful way, so to speak. So they just kind of stayed in their lane and knew what lines of respect. I mean, you just cross some lines you don't get back. And that was, they did what they were supposed to do, and it was a good balance. But when it's out of balance, you have to have that polarity to keep a system in place.
Okay. So I can ask you once again, what do you think these men are getting out of telling men to try to find virtuous women or seek the traditional route when that doesn't exist anymore? Is it a grift? Is it some kind of goal? What do you think?
I think it's a distorted. I don't know if there is a whole lot of. I mean, being a woman and knowing what women are capable of, I don't know if it exists anymore. feel like it's a distorted view.
Okay, so Pro asked it earlier. I'll ask you.
Yeah.
What was something that you believed in the past that you're like, I just can't believe that I believe that about, you know, men, women, dating, relationships, etc.
Ugh. I would say that, well, I guess from a worldly viewpoint of like follow your heart, I think that women tend to justify that however that looks.
Are you saying you justified that?
I have. I definitely have. And it's not a, that's a very big gray area of follow your heart or.
What do you mean? Was he really hot or what? Like, yeah, she's laughing. That means yeah. Yes, back.
Oh,
Did he not have
yeah,
a job? Like, what was the catch?
Yeah, it was just like, it was just a whole eye opener of what, I guess it boiled down to like kind of the bad boys type of syndrome, but it boiled down to he just thought he was the most important person, so I therefore thought he was, and he didn't bend over backwards for me. So it's kind of like a perception of when a girl says they want a nice guy, and the guy's like, okay, I did XYZ, I'm being this person, but then we see it as a too much. If he's going to waver here, how is he going to be? He's going to be running from the zombie apocalypse too, then with me, you know, like if we see that.
You got with a bad boy, but then you expected him to bend over backwards. I've always wondered how women reconcile those two things. Like, how do you date a bad? Did you know this guy was a bad boy from the jump, and then you started expecting him to bend over backwards as a relationship went on, or what?
Yeah, I mean, he just didn't. It wasn't. When I look back on it, you know, it's not something that was sustainable. But I think he, you know, if you think you're the most important person, then those always had like, that's why it works, that dynamic of at least it's respectable piece.
I dropped a little bit, but I'm just like not following the story at all. Like you're not being really clear. So he was like, he was hot, but he put himself first, and that was the issue.
And so that was at least.
And then you tried to change him? Like you trying to change him or?
Not trying to change him, but just looking back at my perception of what that was. And like the reason I stayed was because I respected him being firm in his ways. So, I mean, I got out of that, but not for any other reason other than that's why that dynamic apparently works, because at least he stood firm in what he said.
Uh-huh.
And I was able to be, okay, he stands firm. He's not going to waver. He's not going to bend over backwards to me. I guess that's why it worked for the time.
But then it didn't. So you're saying, was he too selfish, you're saying? Or like he drug problem?
No, I just think it was just not, it didn't work not for any other reason. It was just interesting to see like it didn't work for the reason of it wasn't sustainable, you know, but it's like.
What does that mean though?
Like, sustainable.
Did you suck?
Like he didn't have a whole lot to, I guess in a very tangible way, he didn't have a whole lot to like, he was at his mom's and, you know, living at home, and it's like we're old enough to not be.
What was his job?
Best Buy.
Oh, so he was hot and he worked at Best Buy?
Yeah, but he like didn't even have a car of his own, you know, was driving his mom's, but it was like, what is it about this person that's keeping me like.
Do you have kids with this guy?
No.
How old was he?
At the time, 30.
Oh, damn. So he was 30, living at home with his mom and no car?
Yeah. So
where is he now? Did he get a car? Or like...
I hope so. I don't know where he went.
Okay. So you're just saying he like didn't have money at all?
He just didn't want the thing that kept, he just didn't have a drive to be anything better, but he didn't really have to because everyone was like, oh, he's, you know, this person.
What did he do to get you in the first place? Like, I don't understand it.
It was, she's saying it was the mindset. Like, yeah. I mean, that happens all the time. You see women date broke men. Like there's no tomorrow. We love them.
And they justify it. Yeah. I just don't even.
No, I mean, it makes sense. Like you said he wouldn't take shit basically. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
And then not agreeing with me and kind of just being like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. And I was like, I'm trying to say it on paper, but I love him. Well, I love him. Yeah. It just
Doug, he worked at Best Buy and had the time to learn how to spit game.
Yeah.
How long did that go on?
Other guys are busy working.
Yeah.
How long did that go on?
Oh gosh, probably 6 months of just like a push and pull, but if he would have say conformed to what I wanted him to, well, that's just in a very simple mindset. Okay. Come hang out with me this time. If he would have conformed to that and been like essentially doing everything I asked of him, I wouldn't have respected him the same way. It wouldn't have kept me there.
So there's follow your heart, and what's one more thing where you're like, I can't believe that when I was young. Nothing.
I'm just drawing a blank.
Okay.
I missed what was said in the past for.
That's all right. That's all right. Well,
what was one
how
of yours?
How did the relationship end? Was there a crash out or did it just
and then you kind of just like zoom out and look at it and you're like, what was I thinking? It didn't, not that it needed to be like a tangible asset to support me, but it was like we were 30, it was like kind of where we're all old enough to kind of go on our own. Yeah.
Got it. Doug MP, got any more questions for her?
Yeah, I just I like I said earlier, this whole traditionalism thing, men had traditional values that were instilled upon them. Women did too. Women think it's one-sided that traditional values were like pressed on them, but it was for men too. And I just think that men need to enjoy their freedom just like women are. Like, why would you willfully want to impose traditional stuff on you when like women don't want it? Like women don't want traditionalism. Well, why do these guys keep trying to give them something they don't want? I don't get it. Why?
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy how society like just has this inherent pressure on men to like protect and serve by default, and women, I like look at it and I'm just like, there's literally nothing but existing that's expected of women.
Well, in Gluck 9000, but we don't even got to do that anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for calling in, Megan.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right. Well, I'm ending on that. Best Buy, Chad. You might lose your bitch to a guy at Best Buy, everybody.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. Not even close.
Hey, I gave her props for admitting that. You know what I mean? Most women would take that to their grave.
Well, and here's the thing, guys. A lot of women, especially the professionals, they say the best thing a guy can do is be there for her. So, guys, if you have a lot of time, you can get a lot of these women. Because especially if women's needs are met, that's what they want. They want time and to be able to perceive like they're controlling you. So if you can do those two things, you can get a lot of these women.
I should have asked his actual job. It looks like some of the positions at Best Buy aren't bad.
You're looking it up right now?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I'm like, was I too harsh? Was I too? Because I was thinking about it. I have a cousin that worked at Best Buy. And I was like, I actually think he supported. Was I too harsh on the Best Buy guy? But I don't know. We'll see, though.
I had a friend I work with at a restaurant, and she was like a couple years out of high school, and she had this, this is back in the early 2000s. She had this Honda Civic that was all decked out back when like Honda Civics were cool. And her friend liked this guy at Best Buy, and she wanted something for her sound system for her car. And the guy said, okay, if your friend will sleep with me at work, I'll give you this like sound system thing for your car. So her friend, like, she drove her friend to Best Buy. They went in like the back room. He banged this chick and then gave her like a subwoofer for her car, or whatever. I was like, wait, so you didn't sleep with this guy for the thing that you wanted? Your friend did?
Hey, that's what I call a team player. Sounds like
Yeah.
she'd be a great wife.
Oh, I
Okay.
guess my volume is low. Oh,
Thanks for
whatever.
calling in, Doug MPA. Appreciate you.
Have a good one.
Anyways, guys, I gotta stretch. All right. I'm getting sleepy earlier and earlier. I don't know how I feel about this. Am I gonna start going to bed at 9? Am I gonna go to bed at 9 p.m.? Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.